Sit back, relax a little bit. Let me tell you a story. See if yours is anything like mine. Remember when I was a kid? So much better when I popped the lid. Feel the rapper, open it up.
Exactly, listen to Seany. Right, and Cash App's the easy way to get money transferred when y'all with friends. So, jump into that and then we'll get back to it.
He said, baby, jump in the back, boy. Tailgate crazy.
Yeah, y'all know what you go ahead and need to do. Just go ahead and hop on in the back. Hop on the bus. It's your bus driver, Cedric Green. I got my co-pilots. I got both my co-pilots today, Seany and Justin. So we're coming in hot today. We're bringing you all the news from all the angles. Guys, you know how we do. Welcome back to another episode of Shady Sports Fantasy Reports. I think this is episode 23, 24. One of them 20s. We're getting up there in the season, man. We're in the thick of it for sure. It's
For
week
6, absolutely.
Hopping over that hump, you know what you have in your teams. You know what you're looking at. We kind of got hit by the majority of the injuries. Hopefully, getting over them. We we're starting to get into the bye weeks now. From last week moving forward. So we got some good stuff, man. So yeah, this week coming at you, we got, since we have Seany, we'll be talking to Steelers as well, talking their game. They went off. We'll be talking the Detroit Lions game where they went off, and we'll be talking that Broncos game.
What game?
Pat Surtain went out. You know, we lost our cornerback.
PS2.
So we gotta and then
PS2
hopefully
shut down.
Well, PS2 shut down. It looked like our defense drastically changed.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be joined by the homie Grayson talking about his team. I traded this guy. I gave this guy AJ Brown and Jonathan Taylor. So we'll see how that works.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but I mean, I got Mike Evans. I got whatever. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway,
Evans got hurt today, did he?
I know. It sucks. It sucks.
You're not alone on that injury bus, dog.
No, you are. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about those injuries. I know it was a massive list. I meant to have a graphic for it, but I know you had posted that, Justin. So we'll talk on that.
I don't think they make you'd have to make 6 graphic cards to cover all the injuries going on right now.
Yeah, I easily could have, so I had to abbreviate it to whatever was fantasy relevant for us.
For real.
Let's see.
Because it was long. It was multi-page. I'm like, okay, which ones are relevant?
So, I mean, we could talk about, it's Sunday night, so we talk, football and fantasy too. So we'll probably talk about.
You're the bus driver, Sid. You tell us what you want to talk about, man.
Exactly. And we'll talk about some of these coaches in the hot seat, right?
Dude, the Giants just had a sick drive going. Tracy had a big catch, and who is it?
Daniel Jones went to play duck hunt, and he threw a lame duck.
Big interception for the Bengals. It's not looking good for the Giants.
I almost
just literally about to
league.
ask you guys: are you following this hype for the Giants? Are they worthy of being on the bandwagon?
Dude, I would like to have any type of faith in them that I can, just as a fantasy standpoint, because with with Tracy coming up, and I know that Singletary had some good, and then who is it? Wan'Dale Robinson?
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys being relevant and them winning these games, I mean, it's good to see for a team that struggles like that. Anybody, I mean, that's a real football fan, of course you're going to ride or die for your team, but teams that don't win very often and have crappy seasons, they're always at the end of their division. It's nice when you see them get a little spark of something, like they're getting something going, especially when you can get some fantasy relevance out of it. So I ain't mad at the Giants doing well.
There you go. And it's NFL, right?
I think that the Giants have fantasy relevance every week. They're good. They have a middle of road to low end defense, so they're going to have to put up points and score a lot of points
for score.
That translates to players like Wan'Dale hitting your flex, Tracy hitting your flex, Singletary hitting your second running back spot when he comes back healthy. And then whenever Daniel Jones decides to throw touchdowns over interceptions, he's a proven commodity for fantasy. So I think for fantasy relevance, I'm still a believer in that offense. For NFL, just pure just watching football for football, I don't know. I'm out on that whole NFC East, really. I mean, Eagles look bad today. The
They'll pull it out, but
with the Cowboys and the Giants are looking pretty human against the Bengals already, and the Commanders got slapped back to earth. It's like I called with the show last week. I was like, Jaden Daniels is going to come back to earth this week. Lamar is going to have his game, and they're going to have a little bit more of a tougher time, and they did.
Yeah. To me, that's the weirdest division too. Just like, you know, the all over the place. Like there's no regional bunching, you know, that kind of stuff. But there are some serious rivalries in that and lots of fantasy relevance in it. But I want to start to talk about my boys, the Pittsburgh
Steelers
Steelers,
game.
pulling it out. Justin Fields looking like he should have been the guy from the start. He didn't have a whole, you know, all right, from a fantasy standpoint, I'll make 1 point. People were upset in the chat saying Fields wasn't passing enough, but he was taking the initiative at the goal line to score the tutties he knew he needed to win that game. And they were already up significantly, and they were succeeding running the ball with Najee Harris having an off-the-chain game. So they didn't need to be passing the ball and putting the game in jeopardy by putting balls up in the air. They didn't need to. However, he landed like a 31 or 36-yard bomb to Pickens a little later on. I think Pickens ended up having like between 8 and 10 fantasy points somewhere in there. But Fields got his again. And to the eye test, like it's unreal, man. Fields is being ranked inside the top 10 now for, you know, consecutive weeks. And this is the 4th time in a row we beat the Raiders, so we kind of had their number. And I always love beating anybody in the AFC West to help out Jam and his Broncos in the division.
Yeah,
you know? So, you know, I'm not mad at it at all. But Najee, off-the-chain game. Great to see. Love it. Fields helped everybody out. But not only that, just from a fan standpoint, and it was an awesome game to watch. You know, there was some sloppiness here and there, and blah, blah, but I don't know. That was a great matchup. You know, Divine Diablo came back for Vegas. He had an interception, looking okay on defense. Spillane, I think this is maybe his lowest scoring week as far as IDP goes. But I still think he had like 33 or something like that, which is all day relevant in the linebacker category. Anywhere from 30 to 50 is a beautiful week for a linebacker. And it sucks to see, you know, Minshew, you got Aiden O'Connell. TJ Watt was in there. And he stripped Amir Abdullah at the goal line. You know, there was a lot of sloppy play on Vegas's end. And overall, just as a, you know, from a fan standpoint, not biting my fingers, knowing we had a kick-ass game, up, winning, successful offense, killing it on defense again. The Steelers have one loss. That's it. You know, I mean, we're up in the division. Got the Bengals at 1-4. You know, I think Cleveland, I think they had a rough day today. I know they had an interception. I think they ran back for a touch, but
you got 2 losses, buddy. And
then Baltimore, I mean, Lamar's looking pretty unstoppable right now, but their record is like, you know, but I love it. And as far as that game goes, Myers was out, so no relevance there. Madison had a baller game. I knew he was going to. We sometimes struggle against the run just because our edge is so good and our linebackers kind of suck. But today, Queen stepped up, and he had 39 points, fantasy style. Madison still had a great day in their backfield. And I don't think anybody else really had too fantasy of a relevant game for Vegas. But, man, it was just so good to watch the Steelers. Just, yeah, I love it. That's it for me. That's it for me on the Steelers. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Bowers had, 16 points.
There we go. Yeah.
71 yards on 9 receptions. So he went off, of course, but he's been going off. But yeah, Madison, I was wondering about that, honestly. I meant to talk about that this morning on my other show. What they thought about Madison.
He ended up with 20.5 for me.
20 20.5, 14 carries, 33 yards, 1 tutty. But he caught all 5 of his passes for 32 yards, so that helped a lot too. But that was pretty much it. And I mean, on the Steelers side, Justin Fields, I started Justin Fields personally over Josh Allen just because I feel like Josh Allen, he ain't got nobody to throw to, man, on Monday night. There's nobody to throw to going against that Jets defense, and I feel good about Fields as long as they keep him in as a starter. I don't understand the whole mind thing of like, are they going to start Russell Wilson? Will they? Won't they? Or whatever. I think Tomlin needs to come out and just clarify and makes Fields the starter going forward because he is the future.
He basically came out in the conference because they brought it up, and this was, I think, not last week but the week before, and he was like, "You don't got to ask. You see who's starting, right? You know, and that's how it's going to be." Russell's obviously always going to be dressed, and he's going to be on the sideline helping calling plays and stuff because if Fields go down, Wilson is number 2. So, of course, he's going to be dressed on the sidelines. He's going to be there. He's going to be ready to go. And if anybody had any doubts about who the starter is after last week, you're crazy. And now it's just set in stone. So, yeah, he's the bona fide set it and forget it starter. And, I mean, this is second, third weekend. I mean, he's definitely in the top 10 of quarterbacks, man. And anybody in the top 10 at anything fantasy style is a lineup lock. So, you know.
I mean, yeah, you're right. He is in there at number 10 in PPR with 90.64 points for the season. He was quarterback 6 so far today. Quarterback 16 last week, quarterback 1 in week 4. So, I mean, Justin Fields has definitely been holding it down while he's been the starter. It seems like he's gotten his resurgence, and all it took was a little fire lit up under him and maybe a little competition with Russ and showing that maybe, hey, we're not going to hand it to you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to actually earn it, and it seems like that's been kind of helping him.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see the offense putting up as hard as our defense does because the Steelers' defense, week in, week out, between Watt, Fitzpatrick, Hayward, these guys are busting their ass to not only keep us in the game, but to, get us back on the offensive side of the ball. It's just good to see the offense working as hard, if not harder than that defense. And, we had so many opportunities on offense because of the strips from Watt. So, on both sides of the football, the Steelers are getting it done. And, it's not a fluke because to the eye test, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, and they've done it consistently. So I'm running it.
Yeah. And I mean, what you said about the defense, they're ranked number 6 right now. Hold on.
Yeah. Linebackers are a little lacking just because we have some injuries between Holcomb and Highsmith. And Highsmith is usually like the top scorer, lead tackler. But we do have Queen in there who has stepped up. He's only done better consistently from week 1 until now as far as fantasy points goes, as far as tackles go. Today being his highest scoring day at 39, I believe. I don't know if he broke the 40s, but, so that's good. So, you get the middle of the field covered. I mean, you already got the edge covered. We already got the corner and Minka, so, I mean, that's pretty much every aspect of the ball covered on defense. And now with Najee stepping back up, Pickens is still making his plays. Freiermuth is a solid tight end. He didn't have the best day fantasy-wise today, but he's still a solid tight end. I mean, the Steelers all around just, I know we're going to have a winning season. That goes without saying under Tomlin, but we made the playoffs last year after having such a mediocre season to almost shitty, I would say. Now we're having this kind of season. I don't think it's, I don't think we're going to be wild card. I think we're going to be in the playoffs.
Oh man, that's hot takes. Hot takes Sunday.
Absolutely. Man. So you guys, which one of you guys is going to go next? Who do you want to talk about? Jeff, do you want to talk about the Broncos and kind of get it off your chest and forget about it? Or do we want to let Justin talk about his Lions making the Cowboys look like cowgirls?
Well, Justin, hey, talk about the Lions real quick. How are you feeling?
All right, I'm going to bring up some stats for you, so I'm not pulling crap out of my butt. But I think the Lions gave the Cowboys the best birthday present they could for Jerry Jones.
Oh my
That
god!
Yeah, it was his birthday today.
I know.
And the Lions decided to go down there and be like, we're not putting this game in the ref's hands. We're going to finish this game in the first quarter, and you're going to suck on it for the next 3 quarters. They ended up putting in all their backups in the fourth quarter. They were done with the Cowboys. It was a statement game. Yeah, they lost Hutchinson for, at worst, the year, at best case, a month or
broken
two.
tibia, right?
Yeah. So, but that was just a classic. You put away teams you should be putting away. Dallas had no business being in this game, and to compete with the Lions, it's very clear now. The hierarchy in the NFC is that the Dallas Cowboys are in nowhere the conversation to be talked about with the Detroit Lions as far as a team contending for a Super Bowl or even making a playoff run.
Oh, man.
They embarrassed them in their own house. Goff threw for multiple touchdowns. Ben Johnson's drawing up plays with the linemen going out wide. Trick plays with the linemen in the goal in the red zone. Flea flickers all over the place, and then David Montgomery is running like a running back that got paid. He got his bag. He put the team on his back. He's icing games in the red zone, and he's carrying players for the first down. That man is a dog. He is King Henry 2.0. He's a younger version of him. Everything he's shown me to start this year is showing that he's going to be around for a while, and he's going to be with the Lions for a while, and he's their 1A in that offense for the run game, and Gibbs is at 1B. And they're starting.
I didn't realize
Montgomery
had just signed a contract.
He did. They extended him.
Yeah,
they gave him the bag. And even so, Gibbs is still eating and getting his too. He had a couple looks in the red zone, and he's had some trick plays his way too. But it was on the offensive side of the ball, it was damn near flawless, and I enjoyed every minute of it that I could see. And then on the defense, that secondary is scary, man. They made Dak Prescott look human today. They had what? Let's see, 3 interceptions.
Kirby's my dog.
Yeah, and in the red zone, and that's key. He's making his interceptions in the red zone. That's demoralizing for the opposite offense. You drive the ball that far, and this man's picking you off and killing your drives. And Brian Branch, his first game back from injury, he's making big hits and getting a couple interceptions his own. I mean, that whole defense now is going to have to step up with Hutchinson out. But everything I saw today showed me a team that prepared for 13 days. They took that bye week and they took it to the Cowboys. They studied them and they polished their game so that they looked absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw any of it. Was there, from an unbiased side of it, where the flaws were, where the problems were, if there was anything you're worried about? Or on the offensive side, where's the fantasy relevance? Can you start multiple lines in your lineups every week, set it and forget it? Or is there still question marks on whether or not you feel comfortable putting Jameson Williams in there every week or Sam Laporta in your tight end spot? Because I know it said you have them a lot everywhere, but on the defensive side of the ball, I'm almost questioning like taking one of these cornerbacks just to have in my backup slot for defensive players for bye weeks or injuries.
It's not out of the realm for me whatsoever. I mean, I got a couple in my dynasty league at IDP, and I didn't see the game, so I don't have any unbiased. I just saw highlights, and from a fantasy standpoint, I will say that as far as it goes for me, that backfield is set it and forget it, 100%. You know, as far as Goff goes, as far as Williams goes, it depends on who else you have.
Probably good for like a solid. Would you say they're probably solid bye week fill-ins or injury fill-ins for sure? Yeah, like if you have bye weeks or injuries, you're like, yeah, I'm okay putting those guys in.
Wait, who are we talking about again? Sorry, I was busy getting Grayson.
We're talking about
no, you're all good. You're all good. We're talking about defensive Detroit Lions as far as setting them in your fantasy lineups week to week. If there's any concerns going forward, or this game kind of solidify like how Shawnee was mentioning that if you have bye weeks or injury fill-ins, you're feeling comfortable throwing like a Goff or a Williams or a Gibbs in your flex or wherever you have to put them
What?
if you have bye weeks of other players.
But
I'm
Gibbs and
using them every
Montgomery to
week,
me
though.
are set it and forget
Yeah,
it guys.
Gibbs is a set it, forget it. I
But
tell you,
Goff-
Well, I
Montgomery
know
is a set
Goff
it,
I
and
read a lot
forget
of
Williams,
it.
things,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people, still concerned about his workload and his volume week to week,
Who?
and whether or not he can still hold relevance and production of where you drafted him
No.
early on
I
in the
think-
year.
And, from an NFL standpoint, yeah, that defense without Hutchinson is going to have to step up. I don't know who's going to take over at the edge there. Obviously, big shoes
And I don't
to
even
fill.
know either.
But I know that their secondary is strong, and I know like Anzalone. I mean, they have a solid linebacker core that is a great second step. That these guys can definitely step up and hold it down for Hutch while he's gone. Because obviously, if you snap a tib, you're done for the season. If not, you never know.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I don't know who's taking his place either. They might come out and he might be. Obviously he's not going to be anybody of Watt or Hutchinson or Crosby
No.
caliber, but obviously you got to put someone in that spot. But I think they're more than capable of stepping up, and it just goes to show too. That offense, if they're going to go up like that, and they're going to have those kind of leads, you just kind of need a defense that's going to go out there and stop them, and they obviously showed that they can do that, and they know that Hutchinson's the heart of the team. And they're going to go out there and play for him every week. They're going to play with heart. I heard Montgomery talking about it in the interview after the game. They definitely put a lot of love, faith, and respect in that man. So, playing for him while he's out is going to be a big aspect of their confidence and, reasoning behind leveling a mother. So, yeah. And, no bias. Like I said, I didn't see the game. I just saw highlights, but man, Montgomery, Gibbs, those two guys to me. I mean, there's probably others, don't get me wrong, but right now, as far as from a fantasy standpoint, two guys in the same backfield that can week after week have fantasy relevance together. The Lions backfield is like the one that comes to mind first and foremost.
Yeah, no, and I always say that. I mean, I think they have the best running back duo in the NFL right now. And then as far as fantasy relevancy, they definitely are, I'd say, in my opinion, the most relevant players. Williams, yeah, he's the hot hand, and he's been the hot hand since the beginning of the season. And it seems like he's going to stay the hot hand, but I expect, Amon-Ra to command more and to get more moving forward, especially if their defense does have a drop-off with Hutchinson going down, which like you said, he was the heart and soul. Guys, we do got Grayson on.
Absolutely.
Grayson,
Welcome him in here, guys. Throw it up in the chat. Let's welcome Grayson.
How's it
we're
going,
in
everyone?
ESPN League together. Grayson managed, as I said off chat, Grayson managed to get AJ Brown and Jonathan Taylor from me. So yeah. So Grayson,
we're big old smile.
right? No, we were
Brown
talking about
coming
the
back
Lions
off
game
injury today. Him and Smith both, and they both ate.
Ooh, I watched a little bit. Yeah, I didn't expect.
But at what
both of them to go
sacrifice?
off.
Dallas Goedert went out with an injury, so that's not looking good.
Yeah,
well, it looks good for them,
like
though,
that's
right?
how the Eagles have been. It's like one guy gets the hot hand, then he gets hurt.
Like
So
all
then
three of
Gotti
them
goes
can't
in
eat
and
at the
eats
same
while
time.
Smith
One
is out and Brown's out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come back in, and then Gotti gets hurt, and then they eat. So it's like, no matter what, it just goes to show anybody who gets 20 to 30% of Jalen Hurts' pass share are going to be fantasy relevant week after week. And that's very, very settling for a lot of people with them on their roster.
Yeah, for sure.
And with them coming back, they're going to be the ones getting that pass share, especially with D-God out. But yeah, Grayson, welcome on, man. Is there anything specific you want to touch on? Who was your top scorer today?
My top scorer today, I'm fairly sure was AJ Brown.
Nice.
I'm like fairly certain. I have everything a little bit to the left of me. That's why I'm looking down.
That's
Um,
okay. I'm in the same boat, though. I traded for AJ Brown before this week, and I'm happy after this week. I'm so happy.
Yeah, so funny enough, the two people I've traded for rather than drafted are my two high scores today of AJ
Wow.
Brown and Zay Flowers.
Mhm.
Wow,
So
Evans goes
That's
out.
going to be a great feeling.
yeah, and so it was. And funny enough, I traded away Mike Evans to Cedric,
Oh.
and then traded away. I heard you guys just talk about Justin Fields. I traded Justin Fields away for Zay Flowers as a straight trade as someone who needed him.
Yeah.
Who their starting QB was Danny Dimes, which personally I'm gonna hunt and yeah, I agree. So the largest thing that and Cedric can attest is I send probably 10 trade offers a week. I am
That's
not
healthy, though. I love active people
yeah,
who do that in
yeah.
leagues. That's
I'm
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not slamming the waiver wire. The waiver wire is truly for my
Mhm.
bench. I really try and maximize my starting team by trading primarily a primary with one of my bench players to just make it a little sweeter. That's what I've traditionally done.
That's
Little
a great
buy trade.
strategy. I like that.
Yeah.
You got me twice.
I mean,
Ooh.
Nah, I'm okay with it though. I am confident in my team though. That's my thinking. And like, there was nothing aside from having AJ Brown this week that would have kept me, from probably
Wait
going
till the
down this
playoffs.
week. Yeah, right. Well, wait till the playoffs. I'm banking. I got a squad, man. I still got C God too. I got Godwin, so he's
Yeah,
about to
and I
eat.
mean, dude, we're
We got
talking
Tank
number one
Dell.
numbers from that
Yeah.
man. I mean,
And Nico Collins will be back, so I'm confident in my team in ESPN. It's just,
Mhm.
I didn't want to be too overpowering,
Okay.
Trust me,
Oh,
trust me when
okay.
I
All
say injury bug is
This
biting
is why he's the
everybody
bus
right
driver,
now.
everybody. You got to stay up there at the top of the bus.
To be fair, he is the only undefeated. Unless this
Yeah.
week turns, he is
It's
the only
turning.
undefeated
Yeah.
player in our
Wow.
league currently.
So disagree with me if you guys will, but I've been playing fantasy football for a long time, just like you guys, I'm sure. Do you guys kind of feel like there is a bad juju about being undefeated heading into? Doesn't it always seem like the undefeated guy always loses in like the first round of the playoffs, or like loses the round before the championship? Or have you ever
Mhm.
seen someone go fully undefeated the
Don't
whole
you
way?
put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Hey, I'll
Don't
tell you,
put that
a
juju
couple
on
years
me.
ago, I went, I think, 12 or 13-1, headed into the playoffs, lost my first week matchup. And if I would have won that one, I outscored the next two teams and would have won the ship. I was just like, oh,
I did
cool.
that to Mike last year in our fantasy league.
Yeah.
And he went all the way, he went off, and I barely made the last playoff spot by the skin of my teeth. And my linebackers all went off that week, and I beat them by like 60 something, and I kicked them out the first round of the playoffs, and I ended up getting third. And I mean, he was projected to win the whole thing. It's just, I don't know, consistently what I've seen. And like my other ESPN league for Lucky Strike, when I worked there, the guy who went undefeated all season, he was, it didn't look like anybody was going to stand a chance. Right, the semis, he got taken out in the semis. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I think it's always better to maybe get a loss or two throughout the season to try and, I don't know. That's just me. I just feel like personally there's some juju around undefeated going into the playoffs in fantasy football.
It's never worked for me having a winning record or like a solid record going into the playoffs. Each year I've had that situation. I've either got bumped in the second round or the first. I like the fact that a lot of this year is that I'm at the bottom of the barrel, and I'd feel a lot better this year getting into the playoffs strong and making a run than getting to the playoffs like starting off really strong and then like limping in and holding on for wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I take every win I can get
Oh,
I can get it.
Mr. 5-0. I bet you do.
Exactly. I'm not just so I don't have the luxury of having a team I can just turn up in the playoffs and just go
Jam,
off.
you're
and
not,
score
dude.
all
It's
these
not
points.
just ESPN though, man. All our sleeper leagues that you're in, besides Dynasty, you're crushing in all those leagues too, man. This has been the best season I've seen you have in fantasy football, straight up.
I know because I'm actually paying attention to it.
You actually been listening.
He's doing
Why do
homework.
you think I started this show so I can steal all you guys' knowledge?
He's just
Well,
milking
I
us
know
for
that
his
every
gain.
time I mention a name during a draft, somehow that name ends up being the next one to come off the board.
Yep. Look at that team stacked.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah,
if you
have a
want
way
good
better
news,
draft, dude, way better drafts. Obviously, you can see what the strength of a good draft will do for your team.
Go ahead, Grayson.
if you want good news, it looks like Cedric is heading to get his first loss of the season in
By
our
6
league.
points.
Ooh, come to
by
the
6
El
points.
Cafe. Sit down with
Yeah.
me. Get an appetizer, said.
Unless
Yeah,
Tyler Conklin doesn't play. He's questionable.
hey, I mean, you gotta hope on Joe Burrow still has another half of football to
Oh,
go.
yeah. I forgot this game's still going on. I'm watching it, too.
So,
And I have Joe Burrow,
Dude,
so I'm
that's because
hoping
of
he
Joe
does go
Burrow,
off.
man. Burrow's
Ugh.
a dog. I mean,
Freaking beast.
the way
It's
he
not
opened
looking
up
good
this
so
game was
far.
off
I mean,
the
it's a
chain.
defensive battle. It's only 7-0, and both teams are punting back and forth to each other.
Yeah, after those first drives, it's just been nothing but.
Makes you
Back
feel
and
good
forth.
about starting Jordan Love over Burrow this week so far.
Oh,
I got
I started
T. Higgins
Burrow
playing in my
over
best ball
Josh
league, and
Allen.
I need a 20 burger from him in order to go back up on top. So I'm hoping for some big T. Higgins numbers tonight out of this one. But Jam, I know you've been avoiding it, but
Yeah, you gotta
gotta
get
in
this
the
elephant out of the
Broncos,
room here.
my dude.
Nah. What are you guys
Hey, and
talking
I want to
about?
say this from so I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I bleed black and gold, but I live here in Denver. This is where my kids are born. The Broncos are my secondary team. I love beating anybody in the AFC West but the Broncos to help them out in the division. For my boy said every time I say it. Today, man, I don't know. Watching
They
this
just
game,
start too
this is
slow.
always a tight divisional game, and they got the running game started early. You know, Dobbins looked good. Wasn't necessarily anything great or crazy coming out of the passing game. You know, they just happened to go up and field goal. You know, watching Surtain go down, dude, was
Deflating.
heartbreaking. He's one of my favorite corners in the league besides Minka. And, you know, I mean, you can tell everybody he has shadowed this season has done minimally in fantasy football. So it was really easy to make a decision on star receivers in fantasy that were playing the Broncos that week because they were most likely going to have a down week.
Mm-hmm.
I think Evans and Godwin proved against that, but they still had a better game than the Broncos. And the way that Nick started to come back, and I don't know, being a second half team is what the Steelers did all last season, and they got a wild card spot. But I'm watching these guys, and you know, it was 23 to what, nothing, and then Nix goes out there and he finds people and he gets it done. He got it done with Troy Franklin. He was rushing the ball and doing it well. I mean, he was breaking off huge chunks of yards, doing what he had to do. And then he found Sutton on a beauty, the back of the end zone to make it 23-16. And then Lutz had two chances to kick a pretty decent onside kick, and he's one of those guys who's a veteran in the league. You would think that he might have done a little bit of a better job, but he shat. And, you know, the clock was just against them at that point. But I think that they made a valiant effort on the comeback against a pretty, you know, not great, but decent defense. So I don't know, man. It ended a 3-game win streak for the Broncos. So just saying that right there in general is just like, you know, they're going to have those games, especially these divisional games. You can go out there and you can beat the best team in the world. And then, you know, your divisional team that you're playing that's 1-4, or, you know, they're going to come in there and they're going to give you the hardest time. It's just something about those division games, the way they shake out. It's always a different, you know, it's a different game script every time it's a divisional game. And the Chargers, they had the Broncos number this time. I think when the Broncos play them again this season, a little later on in the season, I think that the Broncos are going to have their number.
Yeah. I mean, first off, hold on. Let me do the Shady Sports promo real quick, and then we'll talk about the Broncos and themselves.
Alrighty.
Yo, for you guys joining in with us, welcome, Shady Sports Fantasy Football Report Sunday night edition. You know how we do, guys. We're just talking some NFL games. Right now, for some reason, these guys want to talk about this Broncos team. I don't know why, but thanks for tuning in with us on Shady Sports Network. Head over to Shady Sports Network if you want to check out other sports as well. I know I think some arena football is starting up. There's a lot of news and chatter in our chat, so there's some good shows that have been starting up and going on our other channels as well. So, yeah, we're talking about the Broncos game, and man, I just say like slow starts. You can't start slow. You can't just start slow and think you're gonna beat an NFL team, especially a team like the Chargers that you should have pounced on and took advantage of them while they were down. But it was unfortunate. Like I feel like when Pat Surtain went down, like it just kind of took all the energy out of the room. On the defensive side, they had to completely change up their game plan. Vance Joseph couldn't blitz as much as he wanted to, which is what they needed to do against Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert that was coming off an injury and a little bit hobbled, right? But yeah, man, it's just unfortunate. Like, yeah, it's cool to see them have those comebacks, but it is kind of easy to have a comeback when it's towards the end of the game and they're a little bit looser in coverage and playing a little bit more zone and kind of just letting you kind of get away with some plays that they didn't let you get away with earlier in the game. I just feel like every time in any division games are played tight. These teams, you play these teams all the time, but we got to win these, especially like when it's at home. If they want to do anything, they gotta, and that's where it starts, is within the division. So you can't let a Chargers team just come in here and steal a win like that, especially like when our forte is defense and they just made our defense just look. I mean, J.K. Dobbins just ran all over our defense. We were supposed to have a really good rushing defense. So I don't know. I think Sean Payton's still trying to figure out how to use Bo Nix, in which Bo Nix looked good fantasy-wise. He had 21.74 points. He had 2 touchdowns.
Javonte let him down big time today.
Javonte, and that's what I was going to say. We need a solid number 1 running back. Like, I know Grayson was saying earlier, he does, 10 trades a day. The Broncos need to be doing 10 trades every hour to go get a solid running back. They need to go get, like, a Najee Harris or go get a Breece Hall, who's probably disgruntled over there in the Jets, or, go get an ETN who doesn't want to be on a crappy Jaguars team. I mean, shoot, Dameon Pierce might even become available the way Joe Mixon's been running. So I feel like there's a bunch of options for them to go out there and get it. It's just Javonte's just too inconsistent right now to be trusted, and they can't. They try to have a mix because McLaughlin can't block, I guess. And
he was catching balls, but
he can catch, but he's not a 1A. He
can't protect Nix at all.
No, he's not a number 1 running back. Like Javonte's not even a number 1 running back, as hard as it is to say.
Yeah, Javonte dropping balls like that when you got to be
fumbling. This is what his 3rd fumble on the season. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I turned the game off. I said I'm done with this. I went and played NCAA and beat up on some teams, but no, yeah, it was hard to watch, man, especially after the last 3 games where it hasn't exactly been like world beating. I mean, that game against the Jets, they shut them down, kept holding the 6 points, and then I think they only held teams to like maybe under 30 points in the past 3 games. So the defense was phenomenal, and I guess that all started, with Pat Surtain, because obviously he turned around last week, and that's what we're hoping for this week is a miracle. And once he left, that was gone. So you can't hope for that miracle.
Sternad got a sack. That was nice to see, but yeah, the secondary is not going to be the same without Surtain, man. I mean,
no,
he's
it's
just
levels below.
He's arguably one of the best corners in the league, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, without him, it's going to be rough. But I do like what I see out of Barton and Zach Allen and a couple of these other guys. It's just like the Chargers had the ball so much, and the Broncos were able to hold them in the red zone, but they had to do it so many times that the field goal started to stack up to get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you stopped them 3 times from getting a tutty, but they got 9 points off of, what's his name's toe, and you're already, not scoring points. So your defense is doing everything they can. Yeah. And I do agree, Jem. I think, going out there and firing on all cylinders in the first quarter and not hoping to come back from 23 points in the second half, which is a feat, is definitely, strategically the best way you could possibly look at it, is that they got to come out running and gunning right as soon as that ball's kicked, so as soon as the kickoff, and, bang from there. You definitely don't want to be playing from nothing in a deficit in the 20s and, hope for the best. But I don't know. Hopefully Peyton can make these adjustments. That's what they brought him in for. I don't know. I expect more out of Lutz too, being a veteran and being able to get more off his toe, smarter play calling, but overall, man, like I said, divisional games, it's just how they're going to go sometimes. The Cleveland Browns have been consistently one of the shittiest teams in the NFL throughout the history of my fandom, my lifetime. And, there's sometimes where the Steelers are amazing and then all of a sudden they lose to the Browns. And it's just like that because, those divisional games can get in your head.
Very, very true. And I mean, as far as this game goes, fantasy-wise, I don't think there's really too much fantasy relevancy. I mean, I have, I had Bo Nix in some leagues just because, I had an open slot, so I picked him up, but I wasn't starting him. I don't think there's really anybody else. I had J.K. Dobbins, but I think I dropped him last week or something.
I think Franklin might have been decent enough for a flex fill-in or a bye week fill-in.
He had 11.6 points.
How many?
11.6.
That's decent flex fill-in on a bye week, I guess.
I mean, their receivers look good. Bailey had 11.8. Cortland Sutton had 15.3. So for this game, they looked really, really good, right? But as far as consistency goes,
tutty was big.
And this was something I was listening to you guys before I was joined in. Is there anyone on the Broncos that you trust to even have a fill-in? I mean, a weekend leave and start is I personally don't even see it. And from my perspective, I don't trust the inconsistency to even have one be a fill-in flex. Even on a bye week, I think unless you're in a ridiculously deep league then
12 plus team,
12 plus team, you're not going to find anyone, or you're going to find plenty of other options on waivers that are going to be a more reliable source of even a fill-in flex.
Yeah, maybe Sutton, maybe
Sutton.
That's the highest ranked one I could say, but
Bo Nix.
Then,
Well, here's the thing. I'll throw some stats at you guys from this game.
Consistency is the one thing you want to see in volume, and when you don't see it, it scares you away. That's it.
What were you saying, Justin?
So I'll just throw some numbers your way to this game. Like, to answer Grayson's question, I don't see anybody from this game. I'm looking at the player stats. If I'm looking for a bye week fill-in or a flex fill-in, that person I'm looking at is going to get high volume and high opportunities to potentially score. And when your leading receivers are only getting 4 receptions, that's kind of scary to me. I like to have
he has 6 receptions.
At least 6 or 7.
That's the targets, though. On
that's targets. Sorry, so that's still like a low.
That's
target.
Another thing too. I mean,
you want to see a high target share too, right?
Only threw the ball 33 times, and his 2 highest receivers had 4 each. Franklin had 2. McLaughlin had 2, Javonte had 3 catches, Kroll had 2, Jordan Humphrey had 1, and it's a lot of what doesn't help either when you go and look and you like break it down to the team stats. Between the two teams, statistically, the Chargers only had 34 more yards than the Broncos. What hurt the Broncos is their efficiency on third down. They were 3 for 11. When your drives are dying and you can't sustain
Burrow got sacked.
Those opportunities for that offense to stay on the field for those players you need that you're flexing in those spots need to stay on the field so you can get points. And if your team can't sustain third downs that well, that hurts. And then also time of possession is a 15-minute difference. The Chargers had 37 and the Broncos had 22. So when you're not on the field long enough, I don't trust the Broncos at this point, right after watching this game, that they're going to stay on the field long enough on offense to warrant rostering anybody to play in the, like, if I have Broncos players on my bench and I need to fill them in, I'm kind of worried because it's a tale of two bows. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Are you going to get the high efficiency Bo Nix, or are you going to get the one today where it was just not efficient on third down and not starting off slow, like said. So,
yeah, I forget at what point in the game or which touchdown drive it was, whether it was Franklin or the Sutton touchdown. But on that drive, they said that Bo Nix, during that drive, he had just gotten to the same stat for like completions that he had throughout the whole game. So I think he was like 4 for 4 and 36 and a touchdown. And before that, he hadn't even gotten to that point throughout the entire game. And we're talking about this was like midway through the fourth.
Yeah.
I think it was more about Harbaugh instilling his game plan of wanting to run the ball with Dobbins getting 25 carries and keeping the ball out of the Broncos' hands. And it worked. I mean, they were 7 for, let's see, they basically had a higher third down efficiency than the Broncos, and with them wanting to run the ball so much, I mean, Dobbins has got to be high up there on people's trade for targets, especially with Gus Edwards going on IR. He's at least missing 3 more games. So, I mean, Sutton, I think, is probably the only Bronco I would consider having on my bench solely on the fact of his red zone efficiency and his ability to get touchdowns down there when they get down there.
Dobbins had 18.2 points.
And I'm officially out on the.
Vidal had 13 points. Like, they still run, even without Gus Edwards, and they still rack up points in their running game. And it was just.
For right now, I'm officially out on the Denver running back room. Like, I don't like gambling and who's it going to be this week. And it shows that they're just, even when it is that one person, they're really not going to do anything to break away the pack to help you win your week.
I have their running backs in my dynasty just because I feel like, I'll see what they'll do this year going to next season and see if I need to draft running backs or not. But running backs are running backs. I don't care. I'll pick them up in the draft in dynasty. But that's where I have them at. I don't have them in redraft. I'm not. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not touching any of the Broncos players unless it is like a 12 or larger league. Even in my 12-team league, I mean, I had Bo Nix. I dropped Bo Nix. I don't think I have any other Broncos players in that league.
What's hard for them is they're also coming off a short week. They're playing the Saints on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
I played Spencer Rattler today, and I'll tell you.
The rattlesnake.
Yeah, I wanted to see how it was going to work. I had a feeling, but it wasn't much. But, yeah, no. Couple things. So, Justin, I know on Tuesday we had talked about your team of the week. So, I mean, most of them have played, I think almost all of them. So, let's see. Your quarterback. We'll start your quarterback. We'll go around the room, guys. We got quarterback Lamar Jackson versus the Commanders.
He ran it.
Yes. Well, yeah, Shiny, what are your thoughts? Go ahead. On this team.
As a heavy owner in Lamar, Bijan, and I do have Higgins sprinkled in there. I don't have much stock in Cook, but Cook, we're yet to see versus the Jets defense. This is
Yeah.
pretty stingy. But this is
Wait,
the
Cook is
first
out, I
week.
think.
This is the first week that I'm glad that I had Bijan Robinson in my lineup, and
Mhm.
that's a lot to say considering he's a first round pick. It's rough to have a guy like that, but he finally went off and got 25 points, played to his potential, had 2 touchdowns. That was definitely a good call versus the Panthers this week. Lamar versus the Commanders, they definitely got some. Lamar went off, Flowers. I mean, that was glad to have him starting on my.
Mhm.
McLaurin is a guy that I've watched and wanted to win. I've wanted so much for him throughout his career, and he's finally getting it because he's got a quarterback. He got some again this week, and obviously Justin's picked up on that. And what do we always say? Volume is key. He's definitely getting the most of that pass share in that offense, and it shows. And he's scoring. Laporta, this one's a rough one for me to call because without that long touchdown pass that he had, he was nothing again. He would have had nada. He didn't have a very big game or good game
Mhm.
to go off, and that's kind of
I think it was game script dependent. They were up so big that they didn't really need to use any of their big receiving options. Like Amon Ra had an okay day. He
yeah.
kind
He
of ate
was
in garbage time.
Yeah.
And so I guess if, in the tight end landscape, if you had Laporta, you're thankful you got your 11, 12 points out of him that you did other than a goose egg.
Yep. I played him. But yeah, no. Grayson, did you have any of these people on your team? I didn't look at you. I didn't see.
So funny enough, I have none of these, any of them on my team.
That's
and,
unreal.
and it's
Yeah.
not that I don't like any of them, because the funny thing is Lamar Jackson was my full intention of being my quarterback this
Oh yeah, I got
year.
Lamar.
But when I saw Hurts sliding through the draft, I grabbed him when I could. And then pick right after me was Lamar Jackson. So in the minute I had to make that decision, I watched Hurts slide down far enough for me to grab. The big thing for me is value. People were picking Bijan Robinson in some leagues first,
Yep.
and seeing him for the first time actually look like a first round pick is nice, because I am not a Bijan owner in any league because of where he was taken, and I didn't see the value in where he was being taken. It's nice for the Bijan owners to get some hope. Can he continue this? I don't know. That's really hard for me to
It took a
say.
pretty crappy defense for him to get to where he got today. So I mean,
I think hopefully that defense, that crappy defense, kicks it back in the mode. So Bijan was running back so far is running back number 3 this week. He was running back 27, 26, 20, 15, 19. So yeah, I feel like if you drafted Bijan, you're probably a bit pissed with him. You're probably ready to get rid of him if you haven't traded him away already. You're probably you didn't know what to do because your other running back was probably hurt too, right? Like so.
Well, see that this is the situation. Also, it's like you run through the first 5 weeks and you're only getting 10 to 15 points out of a guy you drafted first, and then you make this decision, like I did with Garrett Wilson last week, where I say I've had enough of this. I have someone I think I can put in his spot that gets more, and then you take him out, and that person shits the bed. And then Garrett Wilson goes off for 29 points. Now, in this situation, I kept in Bijan, and it ended up helping me out.
Yes, George, I agree.
But this is where people are starting to make decisions on starters, and sometimes they can be rash, man, because at the end of the day, Justin and I say it every week that volume is king, volume is key. That's where you want to go. And the only argument that Bijan has week in and week out is that he's the number one. He's the guy. He's got hands. He's out of the backfield. And just so happened this week that not only did he get 25.5, but Algier got 19.5. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I think that due to lack of receivers for Allen, Cook has been the best option, not only as their running back, but as their receiver. So I don't think that Cook is going to have a problem getting his numbers unless the Jets just completely have one of those blowout weeks that they have, you know? So I think that, and yeah, I have Higgins and McLaurin in best ball, so I don't ever have to worry about taking them out. If they have the best numbers, they go in my lineup. If not, they end up on the bench. McLaughlin is a guy I have a good bit of stock in as far as kicker goes, and he's usually pretty steady. I have invested in Koo lately in a lot of leagues because he's proven that he's put up over certain people. It's in the oven; they're hot. And yeah, the Eagles versus the Browns. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty easy one.
Was it though? I thought. I mean, for a minute
Well,
there.
you would think it's an easy one to call.
I expected more from the Eagles defense fantasy wise, and especially in the first half. I expected much more. And then once again, just the only other thing I wanted, or I had two more things to touch on the team of the week, is Laporta also where people were drafting him. He is without that long touchdown. He is still not a tight end that I would pay what people are wanting for him.
What was that?
Yeah. And then with Flex, with Wan'Dale Robinson, I mean, with hopefully Malik Neighbors coming back next week, just because I have him in 3 teams, I really hope that he still receives a good target share. But the same week, Aaron, week 4, when Malik Neighbors went down, he got 22 points based on catches alone and on full PPR. And had no touchdown. And they were all receptions. He got 8, I think it was 16 points based on just the ball getting thrown to him so many times. So I hope the target share, although I have Neighbors in so many leagues, is split, because when teams are going up against the Giants, as long as they just put up their best against Neighbors, all it's going to do is have Danny Dimes throw interceptions. So hopefully he continues receiving some target share is my only hope, because I do have him on my bench and actually have a lot of stock in him overall. With his performance, I think he's a talented individual.
Yeah, no. So I was looking up and down. So Lamar, he actually had a little bit of a down week this week. But he still went off. He was still I think wide receiver 6. Let me see, or something like that. Anyway, Bijan, yeah, like we said, he finally woke up, right? They finally used him the right way, and I think that has something to do with the team that they're playing. You're playing Carolina, so I feel like you should have went off, right? What up, Austin? Thanks.
Welcome back, Austin. I think with this team, I think you probably got a solid 100 points out of it. Maybe not scored the highest amount in your league by any means.
That's what I wanted to go through. So, let's see. So Lamar Jackson, right? Let's see.
I think this is a winning team. If I had this team, rostered this week, I would be extremely happy. Or anything similar.
Yeah, because you got.
I will say I will go off of Grayson's point, and I think after this week, I'm maybe shopping around Sam Laporta to teams desperate for tight end.
I'm not getting rid of him. Season ain't over yet.
I agree.
No, here's the thing. It's not because of that. It's like if I'm hurting at running back with bye weeks next week or a wide receiver, if I can turn Laporta into something, one of those, and solidify that room, I think for where his performances have been and where he's going production-wise, with the value he still has, I could get probably as much as I'm going to get for him now than if I wait like a week or two and see how it goes, because it's like how George has said in the comment section here today, is like with them scoring 47 points and Gibbs having no touchdowns, if the Lions are going to put up multiple score touchdowns and your stars not, being a part of that, it hurts. So I think right now, I don't know what you guys feel about it. I think his value is still at what is peaked from last year, and you could get not necessarily a haul, but you probably could get as much as you're going to get for him if you plan on making that move sometime later in the season, if you were to do it now after this week.
So let me ask you this.
Sorry, my bad.
Go ahead, Grayson.
I completely agree. I think this would be the time to sell high. I don't personally like the tight end matchups that are going to be happening later this season, especially when you start moving into playoff time where it truly matters if you lose. The teams that they're going to be going up against, I would want more players to fill in. And from my opinion, and values are pretty low because you're kind of tapped 20 points on the best day for the best tight end.
Their next two matchups are the Vikings in Minnesota and the Titans at home. But the Titans are no slouch at pass defense. Well, they got kind of exposed today by the Colts. So then going up against that Vikings defense, I'm not sure about how that's going to go for Laporta these next 2 weeks. So I'd take advantage with bye weeks and whatnot and injuries with his value to try and move something and get something out of it.
Whoa.
I agree.
Oh.
This is a Laporta owner right there. That's exactly how.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
I'm a Lions fan. I would like to keep my Lions, but I know what value is important and what I can get out of it because Laporta end of season with no value is not what I like. I'd rather.
Are you starting Cole Kmet over Laporta?
Yes, he is Caleb Williams' best friend right now. I mean, when the fight between Odunze, Allen, and DJ Moore, I watched that early game, and it was just like he was scrambling, panicking. Oh, there's Kmet. There's another 30-yard pass. A couple drives later, oh, there's Kmet again. There's another 20-yard pass, and he's getting the touchdown. So Caleb has an eye for him. I don't know how that wide receiver room shakes out rest of the season. The battle between Odunze emerging, Allen, sustaining his big game, and DJ Moore just feeding because Caleb Williams is going to have to keep a high octane offense happy and fed. That would be my only concern for Kmet is if he gets lost in that trio of receivers on that offense, or if Caleb has a down game.
Are you starting Evan Ingram?
I have no pieces in the Jags offense. I'm completely out on that offense right now because they're looking like they're going for the number 1 pick in the draft next year. So unless if he gets moved or sold or the Jaguars figure it out on the fly, starting any Jaguars for me, like Ingram, is like proceed with caution. Like in the past, he's been Trevor Lawrence's proven security blanket and key target, but with the emergence of Brian Thomas Jr., I think that's going to eat into his value rest of season.
Yeah. What do you think, Grayson?
That would be a tough one for me. Truly. But I know this is something I'm going to hammer away is where these players are drafted. For where Laporta was being taken, the value is not there. And so if I had to go week to week with one person, I'm not a huge fan of Evan Ingram. I had him last year, but I agree. This year, it looks like they're going for the number 1 pick in the draft. But I do think at times he can turn into a panic button for Trevor Lawrence. And I think he's a little bit more reliable target at this current state. So I would go with Evan Ingram over Laporta right now. That is not a long-term thing. No, I would do that week to week.
Yeah. What about Kyle Pitts? They're kind of in the same boat, right?
I don't know. I don't have any shares of Kyle Pitts. I got out of that a while ago. I was kind of the frustration of that offense boiled over last year on me. So I don't really have a dog in this fight. I mean, maybe I don't know. They kind of seem equal at the moment, but as far as where you drafted both of them, I mean, Pitts is probably the more valuable one at the moment, or just worth holding. Because I don't know, it worries me that like with the Lions putting up as many points as they did, how like he was not a part of that offense concerns me. Whereas also Pitts has gone completely ghost mode too, but like I didn't draft Kyle Pitts in the first round anywhere like as high as I did. So I don't know. On that one, I'd probably just still lean Laporta just because it's a better offense in my opinion.
So let me ask you this though. You need a running back. So you got Laporta. You trading Laporta for Kyle Pitts and insert name of whatever running back you're looking for.
Like a Breece Hall? Someone who's not having on a down, or like a Tony Pollard who just had popped off for a big week, or
probably like a Tony Pollard or like a Montgomery. Right?
Oh, I want as many Montgomery shares as I can.
You don't think Laporta's worth that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you could get Montgomery for, I don't think anybody would do that, but because Montgomery is playing out of his mind.
What about Gibbs?
Maybe, but I still think people believe too much in that home run ability in Gibbs that he could pop off at any given play, like, and just make up for whatever volume he's lacking. Okay. Where, I mean, also Laporta showed his home run ability, but that was a freak play. So, I don't know if you could get Gibbs good. I guess in short, what I'm kind of implying is whatever equal of or better value elsewhere you could get for Laporta, do it right now. Like, I'm not holding Laporta just because of the name value anymore. Like, if I could get something for what I drafted him for it and make up with a lower tier tight end, I'm like an Ingram or below that, I'm comfortable having that in my lineups and that be the case.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't even care for tight end points anyway, to be honest. like they're
that's beneath me. I don't need tight end points.
No, they're just a luxury. I don't expect, because I feel there's only like 2 or 3 really great tight ends at any given moment anyway. So I don't expect to get many points for my tight end, much more than 9 to maybe 11, 12 points. I'm happy with that. Anything above that, I'm like, let's go. Anything below that is like, well, what can you do? I'm not trying to upgrade it, to be honest.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I'm set and forget with my tight end regardless. I'm gonna ride with it. Unless
if I'm a team that's sitting at 1-4, 0-5, I'm willing to move Laporta to make a move to upgrade my team elsewhere. But if I'm like 4-1, 3-2 even, obviously 5-0, I'm probably just holding my cards and seeing how it goes. I mean, I'd listen to offers certainly, but like I'm not going out of my way to shop him.
Yeah.
I would actually agree with both. I see the side of, if a tight end gets 8, 9, 10, 11 points, great. That's all. I mean, that's about what you expect. But with the value Laporta still holds in its current position, if you can get a average, honestly, a somewhat consistent top 25 running back, and then another tight end that could get you 6, 7, 8 points, I'm doing that trade for the betterment of my team. In my opinion, I would get rid of him.
Dang, I just saw this. Vikings odds improve over bye week ahead of a crucial NFC North clash against the Lions without Aiden Hutchinson. Not to bring it down.
Out for that guy.
Yeah.
I have a picture of it if you want to see it. It's not pretty.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could pull up Sleeper. I'm sure I could pull it up and
it's not a good pick. Yeah, the legs shouldn't look like that.
That's a rough picture, Ced.
Yeah.
It's rough. I saw that. I saw it on Twitter. Shocker. That's not exactly something I'd like to take a look at multiple times.
Yeah, he says he'll be down for a while.
Calvin like I said, it's probably best case scenario is 2 months. Worst case, he's done for the year.
The Lions really did this to the Cowboys on Jerry Jones' birthday.
Yeah, dog. We shoved that cake right back in his face.
Oh man, should they fire? Whatever. We'll talk about coaches firing here in a second. What was I about to say?
Grayson, who are your top 3 quarterback or coaches right now? They're on the hot seat after 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Lose their jobs.
Do not say Sean Payton.
No, hold on. Let him.
Take you
He's the
out.
GM. He's the GM here. He's
just
got
joking.
3 coaches to throw on the hot seat.
Let me refer to. I took a little bit of notes before I came in here, just on overall teams. Just I didn't honestly know what to expect coming in.
Yeah, I didn't really brief you
this.
too much. That was my fault. I'll get
No,
you
you're good.
next time.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed about that.
And so I kind of briefed on my own side. So
And that's perfectly fine.
You know, I think there's a few that are going to be a little surprising, from my opinion. I think no one's going to disagree with me that, or some may, but Doug Peterson, Jaguars should. I mean, I think they
He's
need
gone now.
he should have been gone last week.
Yeah.
In my
He's gone last
opinion.
year.
Brian Callahan.
I agree. That was my number 2.
I think unless he makes a drastic change in the next 2 weeks, if he gets that, I don't see him kind of continuing what they're allowing him.
To reinforce that point,
yeah,
the hole started to get dug when he traded away Malik Willis, because we saw what Malik Willis ended up doing with the Packers. So it wasn't necessarily a player problem if he's up there with the Packers putting up 20 to 25 points in fantasy that he did to filling in for Love. That was the start of it. The other half of it was he's not really establishing an offense. There's no identity. There's no flow. The superstars aren't getting involved. The run game isn't. I mean, Tyler Pollard had a good game today, but like when you're like game planning to play against the Titans, you really don't have any concerns. Like, you know that they're going to hold you on defense, but on offense, there's no one that's threatening.
Well, you're not afraid of Will Levis?
With how like the playbook is built and how that offense is operating, like one half of it is Will Levis's gameplay, but the other half of it is play calling. And
what are you talking about? King Henry has like 8,000 yards. Oh, he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I agree with both those first 2. Like Peterson's at 1 and Callahan's at 2 for me as well.
Did you say 3 or 4? Because I
said 3. Just your top, okay. Like your 3 that like these 3 guys need to go.
Okay, well, I can make 3 really easy, and then if you want a 4th, that's like a very surprising.
I like spicy.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, number 3, super easy.
Mike McCarthy? Don't say that.
No, no. It honestly, also I don't know how to pronounce his name. Cleveland Browns, Kevin
Stefanski.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're not going to get rid of the quarterback, then just by proxy, one of them has to go.
Quarterback is a guaranteed contract. What are you going to? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. One of them has to go, though. Said because the quarterback is performing.
Look at the Broncos do with Russ.
So it's either the quarterback or it's the coach.
They admit, at least the Broncos admitted they made a mistake and they moved on. At least giving famous Jameis a shot. I mean, give him 1 quarter.
It doesn't even have to be a permanent thing. Just like we're trying to go with game flow, we're trying to change things up, we're trying to get something established here. We're trying to build up the morale for our other guys on offense so they stay content and not frustrated. So something's got to give here. The ownership group said no, we're sticking with Deshaun Watson. The coach is saying we're sticking with Deshaun Watson, but you're like, it's not working. They're not putting up points. They're relying on their defense to stay in games, and it's not a good formula to keeping people in the room. Like, something has to go at some point.
I agree. And if you want my ultimate, this is going to be probably a little bit.
I like spicy food.
Surprising to most people would be Jonathan Gannon on the Cardinals.
Oh,
I don't.
Yeah, because they got so much talent over there, and they're just not.
They got so much talent.
Correct. Yeah. For the team, if you look at that team on paper, you should. I mean, 2-4 is shocking to me. I think there needs to be some pretty large changes for them because the talent is there, but the games aren't. They're not winning like they should be, in my opinion. But that's my hot take.
No,
Dang.
I that's a good one. That came out of the rough, but that's a good one because you
Yeah.
are right. Like it's another one of those scenarios where you have a West offensive weapons and talent, but it's not translating for some reason. I mean, granted, Marvin Harrison got knocked out early in this game due to a concussion, but still, you got
they have other weapons.
You shouldn't be relying on a rookie wide receiver. Although, yes,
Exactly.
I agree, he's great. A rookie wide receiver should not be your end all be all, main only target you have, like the Jet or not the Jets, the Giants. I mean, that's really all they got right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
like
was
I'm gonna
thinking
like
about
look at their schedule for like
the
so
Cardinals.
they got the Chargers on Monday night next week. Then it looks
Mhm.
like they got the Dolphins, and then they
Mhm.
got the Bears, the Jets, the Seahawks, the Vikings.
It looks like a pretty hard schedule, right? Like,
That's a rough
Exactly.
schedule. That's not
So
fun.
I can see them at best out of those 6 games, maybe going another 2-4. Like the Dolphins is doable, the Chargers is doable. Maybe 3, maybe the Jets. I don't know. I don't have a read on the Jets because their defense is so good.
and they're gonna have a new coach, right? When you get a new coach, you get that little momentum for a few weeks, right? So
But for a
Yeah.
team with that many weapons, if the games went out the way you think, they're still 4-8.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
not with those weapons. I don't see that as good management.
And I
In
don't
my
even know
opinion.
how many more games I would give him. Like maybe after the
yeah, well, where do you go though? Who are you gonna bring in though? What are you gonna do though? Like,
that is a good question. You got to have a plan after the fact, but like if it's
They-
looking like you're not winning games with this and it's not looking competitive,
how long's he been there? 3 years now?
no, Gannon started last year, I believe.
Last year? Oh,
Yeah, he
that's
has not
hard.
had he hasn't been given a ton of time. But I also, I mean,
Mhm.
I think they were really pumped about that win last week against the Niners. That was truly just
Fool's gold.
that was luck. I mean,
Mhm.
that was not a coaching decision won that game. It was not.
Mhm. So yeah,
I
that's
got a hot
definitely a
take.
viable, hot, like spicy pick. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, I got a hot take.
Yeah, you do. Tell us your
Yeah.
spicy dish. Hit
Jim
us with it.
Harbaugh, his illness is he had to take a dump.
That's for getting rid of him, or is because he spanked your Broncos at home?
He's not gonna leave. That's why he left the game. He left the sideline. He went to the
Oh no,
then,
he had
like,
a heart
reported that
arrhythmia, is what it was. Like it was released that he had, but I would have put it past him if he had diarrhea or something.
I feel like it was diarrhea.
Just
If I had to watch that team, I would probably have a heart arrhythmia too.
yeah.
He was all out there catching passes and stuff. I mean, it's hard to do young man stuff when you're not a young man.
But I think that was a good guest spot segment on the fly because I didn't realize that Seth didn't cue you in on whatnot.
No,
Like,
you're good.
so-
So I mean, on my computer, just on like my bottom left, where I've been kind of taking a look at like people I was impressed with this week,
Mhm.
disappointed in, draft value. I kind of had my kind of teams I like, teams I don't like right now, and I just used teams I don't like right now and looked through a few of them. Was like, I think a coach change up isn't the worst.
Mhm.
Okay. I got some questions. Got some
Hit him, Zed.
some trades. Let's see.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, yeah, it's been popping the last couple weeks, and especially Tuesday's show. We kept this thing going for a while, and it was popping off.
Yeah. It's not as popping as much tonight, but that's okay. I mean,
No,
this
it's
game is
okay.
pretty
We got
close,
Austin in here.
right?
We got George in here
Yeah.
hanging out with us. That's cool. That's
Right?
cool.
Exactly. So, all right. So, McLaurin, Murray, and Marvin Harrison Jr. for CeeDee Lamb and Mahomes.
I would.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll let you go first on that one.
Yeah,
If you want to, otherwise, I know where I'd go with that one.
You know, and here's an interesting one for me, something I see a lot on just like these Facebook postings like that. I do not do these big 3, 4, 5 people trades. I don't. I think there's too much, you're giving away too much possibility. And I think the real upside in that trade would be CeeDee Lamb, but then you kind of gain a not, in my opinion, barely a top 10 QB. I would not trade McLaurin Murray for.
for Mahomes.
I would not.
Mahomes isn't a top 10.
Not in my. I mean, statistically, week to week, he's falling in that slot, but I would not rely on him. That would be one that I'm a little afraid of in some weeks. I mean, he personally removed his greatest weapon, and if they have anyone who receives the ball, there's another injury on that team. I do not.
If Kelsey goes down, like.
Yeah, you can walk. Yeah, that team is, especially for fantasy purposes, that team is done. If they lose another receiver, a tight end, it's hard. I don't see it. I don't like
and this
that
question is completely different in Dynasty and Redraft. Like,
yes.
Well, we're talking redraft. Let's
I speak
like redraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So redraft, I'm holding on to CD and Mahomes. Like I'm holding on to that side. In Dynasty, though, I'd probably make that trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. and McLaurin and Murray, but I don't feel good about it because Marvin Harrison just got a concussion. McLaurin's popping off, but Kyler is just the highest risk, highest variable piece in that. The whole trade itself as a whole, Murray is the biggest liability. Like, it's the highest variance for risk and reward, and it's more on this side right now, risk and like what you're sacrificing. Like, the only reason why Mahomes is where he is at is because he is at the bare bones once again for receiving options. It's like you saw with the last game. Where's Kelsey? Where's Kelsey? Where's Kelsey? And that's what he thrived off of. So yeah, I mean, ideally, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be trading CeeDee Lamb or Mahomes, but I also don't want to be trading for Marvin Harrison Jr. and McClure. Like, I kind of don't want to do that trade either. Like, I don't want to send those guys, and I don't want to get those guys.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't like that trade as a whole, in my opinion. And my fear, especially, I agree. If Kelsey, a 35-year-old tight end, goes down, that team, Mahomes is useless for fantasy, in my opinion.
Then you're just relying that he's mobile as hell. Like, he just goes back to his scramble days and is running for first downs every drive and just keeping games alive on his feet.
But yeah, I would agree. Dynasty, I would probably do that trade. But as redraft, I would not touch it. I would not send it or accept it. Neither.
Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
I'm holding on to my sun god like a precious disciple.
Amon-Ra, St. Brown for Scary Terry and Brock Bowers.
In redraft, I'm keeping St. Brown. I'm not doing that. But the piece that really has me that's swaying this deal is Bowers. Like, in Dynasty, with the tight end landscape how it is, like, the Bowers is really like sweetening that deal. Like, straight up Scary Terry for St. Brown. Not really, but it's like the 2-for-1 of like, okay, I'm getting a tight end that's potentially going to be like the Kelsey heir apparent here in about 2 years or 3 years. The way if the Raiders don't have other receiving options, maybe they get a better quarterback in the draft because Bowers is just he's that athletic freak at the tight end position that's going to be their security blanket, and he's going to produce high enough. But overall, regardless of dynasty or redraft, I'm just biased. I'm sorry. I'm holding on to St. Brown as much as I can. He's way too consistent for me.
Okay.
Yeah, as a someone who has Brock Bowers in every fantasy league that I'm in, every single one, I went in. I drafted him so late in every single league, and he has paid out exponentially in a dynasty platform where you have that ability to have him again and again. It's nice to see, but I think Amon-Ra St. Brown has a higher ceiling in a fantasy world than Brock Bowers, and Scary Terry's just like a little bonus to add it to get it. In my opinion, those are really the two players I'm looking at is St. Brown and Brock Bowers. But I think Brock Bowers has a ceiling, just because of the position he plays in. And if I'm
Mhm.
only thinking about fantasy, I would rather take a wide receiver 1 than a tight end.
Mhm.
I would.
It's a better offense. He's a solid top 5 wide receiver, and he's proven to be too consistent for your lineups week in and week out. Whereas Scary Terry has gone to ghost mode, but now is blooming, and Bowers is just, I think, a recipe for necessity. He's shown this ability this early, not only for his talent and where he was drafted, but also the Raiders really don't have that luxury of other options outside of Devontae Adams to throw to. So go to Bowers. Like this game, I put it up in the thing that Devontae was out. Michael Mayer was out. So I think there was one other, I think it was like Tucker or somebody, some other offensive weapon for the Raiders was out. So he was just more of, the recipient of necessity. I think though in Dynasty, like I would offer the person Laporta for Bowers. Like I would trade away Laporta to try to get Bowers. Like, and even if I in Dynasty had to throw in like a pick or a wide receiver like a Terry McLaurin or something like that to get Bowers. Like if I did a Laporta McLaurin for Bowers, I would do that in Dynasty. I don't know about redraft, but to just go back to our point of where we're at with Laporta, like he'd be somewhere if I was trying to work a deal for Bowers. That's how I'd work it. I don't know how I could get a trade worked for the person who has Amon-Ra. Like I feel like everyone who has Amon-Ra, like that's their guy. That's their keystone of their fantasy lineups, and they're not. It would take a lot of security to get them off of him. Like it would take like a Jamar Chase or a CeeDee Lamb or an AJ Brown plus to get people off of Amon-Ra.
So
wow,
St. Brown, Murray, Love, and Barkley.
If I'm getting Love and Barkley, I will accept that trade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll get off Amon-Ra.
There you go.
So fast. Yeah, it's so quick.
I saw the brain cooking. So you got real quiet over there, like he's cooking something up.
I thought that was a good one.
So a quick example of just in my opinion. So someone in our ESPN league decided that, hey, Jordan Love's injured. Let's drop him to waivers.
Oh wow.
No, he's this was like 2 weeks ago. This is a 10-man league. There was 6 people trying to claim Jordan Love.
All my fab would have been on it. I mean, I would have thrown everything.
Everyone was going for him, and I can't disagree. And I think Barkley is up there in.
He's still got juice.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna be. I think he's still a game winner. Just because he had a rough week this week, I do not think that's gonna be a consistent thing. I don't.
Okay.
So I would take that trade in a heartbeat.
It pains me as a Lions fan, like but like the value, like I see the value, and it's like you in Dynasty, woohoo, you're getting the value you need, and redraft still, like that's a trade I like anytime. More often than not, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10, but more often than not, when you're the benefactor of like a 2-for-1 that makes sense like that, where you're getting like a caliber of QB and Love and a Barkley, which that running back landscape is really thin after that top 5 tier. It really is just a wasteland. Like that's a good trade. That's a solid trade.
I see that trade actually potentially happening in multiple leagues of someone actually sending that exact trade to get that back. And I think it's probably a 70% of people would take the Love Barkley.
Yeah, so if you're Love and Barkley, though, what is your reasoning for wanting to do that trade?
I mean, so funny enough, if you're desperate and you're 1-5, you're after this
0-5.
Yeah, if you're 0-5, yeah, and you want to do something to make a change, whatever that is, I see that trade is only getting out of desperation off of a rough start.
Because you got to win now. Like every week now, like in my situation, I'm 0-5, I'm 1-4 in a lot of leagues. It's because I got hit hard with the injury bug. Bye weeks, drafting wise, I didn't really factor that into well. So the combination of injury bug and bye weeks, like every game now here on out is playoff mode. You have to win as many as you can because being in that hole. So this is definitely, I agree, a move that like I need to do something now. Like, yeah, Amon Ra has been like holding up my team, but he's the only guy doing it. My other guys aren't cutting it elsewhere in my lineup. Like I might have like been surviving with a Daniel Jones or a Bo Nix as my starting quarterback somewhere else. You're definitely upgrading your quarterback position. And then running backs, you know, you might just have injuries or buys, but like to get Barkley, you're getting 2 set it and forget it players for 1. And you just, I don't like to just to trade, but like when you're in those situations where you're behind the sticks and the standings, like you got to do something. You got to make moves and do something because the team you drafted in or like the stuff you're pulling in off the waiver wire isn't cutting it. So that's where this kind of trade is like where it comes from. Is like you're just trying to like hit something. Like you're doing pull tabs and you're just hoping like something pops.
I agree. Or if you have too much, I mean, and this is rare, but if you have too many running back weapons and you're willing to take in a wide receiver, then I mean you can pull that and get a wide receiver 1. If let's say you're super strong in running backs, but your receiver room is a little rough, I see that as a potential.
If you're like that guy Houdini from our show on Tuesday, I mean, that's just a luxury. You're just like having that trade just for
everyone.
I mean, I have 6 running backs on my roster, so I
always do. I'm a huge like running back connoisseur every year in drafts. I try to get because I always get hit by the injury bug with my running back. So at all times I have at least 5 running backs, like 6 at a time. Like I'm never thin on running backs because you never know who's going to get hurt and you never know who's going to pop off. And they're very valuable with adding into trades. Like if you're trying to do 1-for-1s, and it's like, well, I got this running back that's, you know, at least a top 15 running back, but I'm not using them because I got 2 other good ones. Throw them into the trade, get the trade over the edge to help like get you that piece you really want that's upgrading in another position.
I do have one quick. I just wanted your guys' opinions. What is your guys' fantasy outlook rest of season for Tanks Bigsby?
You want to go first, Ed? Or
well, I mean, it's hard because they really do like ETN, right?
Do they?
I heard rumors about like trade talks and this and that. But I mean,
I'm not a fully believer all the time. Like where there's smoke, there's fire. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk of him with how their season is going on the wall for potential trade targets.
See, so I mean, in which case it could be positive either way it goes, though, right? Like,
are you trading for Bigsby in your leagues?
No.
For rest of the season?
No.
Are you selling Bigsby in your leagues
to
see what you can get out of them?
Probably. If I can sell them, I'm probably selling them because I don't need them, right? Like same thing. Like Spears, Sermon. I mean, he's in that realm where like I don't care. Like if he gets points.
Well, that's easy for you. You're like, sitting at 4-1 or 5-1 in a lot of leagues. So
no, it's not
his
easy
situation
for me.
is probably kind of a luxury for you.
No, just it's with that Jacksonville team. Like I'm not really dependent on those players that much, right? Like so, if I came across one, it's probably on a waiver wire when I had like an injury or a bye week. So I'm not riding with them. I'm not, high up on them.
The reason I ask is just because I'm on this opportunity to be able to talk to you guys. Every single fantasy show, every single post was last week. Go and get Tanks Bigsby. Go and get Tank Bigsby. And
what did he do?
2.4 PPR points.
He pulled off a Bucky Irvin like magical hat show. He popped off a big run, scored a touchdown, and took the value that he got with ETN being out and made the most of it. And that's the biggest spike factor when it comes to trade for targets for the next following week is what players did with what they were given in front of them. I mean, if ETN plays that whole game, he's not even in this conversation. People aren't even talking about Tanks Bigsby. It's the fact that like ETN is playing shaky, he's hurt, and there's no clear direction of where his season's going to go for the rest of the season. Are they going to shelf him if they're playing terribly, or are they going to keep riding him out here at 50% and hoping he doesn't get seriously hurt, and then going off on riding Tanks Bigsby the rest of the season and trying to make optics look good. Like, hey, we tried with ETN, but he's hurt and it's not working. Here's Tanks Bigsby, and he's going to keep us afloat until we get to the end of the season. For me, with my running back room, I already have 5 or 6 running backs at any given time in most of my leagues. If I have Tank Bigsby, I'm trying to ride this wave of the networks and the media of this hype on him and selling him and seeing what I could get in return in another position for him. I don't necessarily 100% believe in his ability with the team the rest of the season. I don't feel like he's going to have significant opportunities for high volume games and high, like at best, I'd see him as a flex, a bye week fill-in and a flex, because what the Jags have shown me these first 6 games is they're going to be playing from behind a lot. Their defense is not going to bail them out if they lose a lead. And they're either going to be really close games or they're going to be really catch them up games. And that is not a recipe for success with running backs you have on your team, because those teams aren't going to be running the ball or leaning on their run game if they're playing from behind a lot, if they're losing a lot of games. The only time that that's ever relevant is garbage time. So what you're trying to invest in with Tanks Bigsby at that point is what's his garbage time value? What is he going to get like towards the end of games where they're just having him out there to just run the ball out and get the game over with and out of? And like, that's the only positive I can see coming out of Tanks Bigsby is he's going to get a lot of, it sounds terrible, but like the way the team's going, it seems like he's just going to get a lot of, like, if anything, garbage time, empty count. Like it's going to look good. And for fantasy, for NFL, it's not going to look good. But like, I'm not buying him. I'm not putting waiver wire fab on him because I feel like it's a Trojan horse. Like it's this situation where like, yep, it looks like he's going to be the guy. ETN's hurt. He's shown for a game that he can put up, what was it, like 15, 20 points he had or whatever. But they showed like today when they're playing serious defenses like the Bears, that running game isn't going to be relevant. Like I mean, I don't not believe in his talent. Like if he was on a different team, like say the Cowboys or the Cardinals or a team that has like some sort of semblance of a direction of like being in games. I mean, like and I'm not trying to be contrarian or against the grain here, but like rest of season in that context, like unless if they shelf ETN and IR or whatever, like I don't see like whatever you'd have to spend right now, because you'd have to probably spend up a little bit for the hype that he's been getting to get him. And I don't think that's warranted at this point. I feel like just let your league mates blow their fab on him, overspend, and ride it out, because I feel like maybe he pops off for another week or 2 here, but it's nothing of value to me that I think he's going to be like a set it, forget it running back 2 for your lineups or like a solid, fill in every week. I know if I have him in my lineup or on my team and I'm looking at the option of like, ooh, do I put Tanks Bigsby in or Javonte Williams, or like I'm not comfortable putting him in my starting lineup every week. And those are the kind of players I don't like to invest in if I'm sitting there like it's crunch time, Sunday at 11 o'clock, Tanks Bigsby like I don't like that feeling. I like looking at my team at room of like, okay, I can put this guy in and here because.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had 24 yards.
Yeah,
Ernest Johnson had 28. Trevor Lawrence had 17 yards. Trevor Lawrence had 7 yards less than Tank Bigsby. No,
unless if they have like a wholesale change on that offense, like a new coach, a new offensive system, or like they somehow figure it out. I think it's fool's gold. I wouldn't be like, and I don't understand. Like I haven't been on like the main, because since I started being on here, I've kind of tuned out like the bigger shows and stuff for the most part, and trying to like just focus on doing my own research and work and my eye tests and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'd be wary. Like, I'm not saying don't go for him at all. If you're really hurting in running back room, take a shot and maybe he works out for you and like the ETN situation gets changed. But until then, I mean, he's probably a high risk handcuff at this point to whatever you got.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine, because that is a good question, because I see a lot of people doing that though with these running backs when they pop off for a week or two, like Chase Brown, for example, or Tyrone Tracy. Like they're like get this big hype in and they try to buy him as fast as they can or scooping up on the waiver wires and like overspending on fab. But like there's a lot of like uncertainty there. Like we don't know when Devin Singletary's coming back. We don't know when Zach Moss, like running backs like that. Like they could have real like quick pop value, but rest of season it kind of is like it's like a burning bright fire. It's just up and up once and then it's out.
Yeah. So we got Austin. He said, does he drop Evan Ingram or does he drop Tucker Kraft for Evan Ingram? And I'd say, just to jump and answer it, I'd say if you're gonna do that, then just keep chasing tight ends every week.
Yeah, I personally would not do that. Just rest this season. I think during playoff time, from what I'm looking at, Green Bay has a good, or for fantasy playoff time, Green Bay has good matchups. So when it matters the most, Kraft has a significantly better schedule than Evan Ingram, and I think he's a little less injury prone.
I would try to find someone else to drop on your team than Ingram. Like if there's a third or fourth running back you're not using, or a fourth or fifth wide receiver that's just filling in for bye weeks at this point, because I like the idea of having Ingram as your starter and Kraft on your bench for that late playoff push where the Packers have that nicer schedule and riding out the Evan Ingram until then, because I think rest of season Ingram gets the more volume, the more opportunities to score, because they're going to be behind in a lot of games than say the Packers, where now that Dobbs is getting back into the offense, Watson's getting healthy, there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed up there and a lower target share for Tucker Kraft. So if you could move one of your other lesser pieces on your roster for Kraft, I would do that and hold Ingram if possible.
Yeah, I tried selling Kraft high. No one took my bait.
That's a hard one to sell, because some people will be like, well, there's Luke Musgraves there. Well, Musgraves is hurt, but then there's like 3 other wide receivers there. That's true. But it's hard to move tight ends, because I feel like I was saying to Seth earlier this week is like a lot of people are like really like, oh, I need my tight end. And they're like really, especially in leagues where there's tight end premium scoring. It's just like the idea of moving your tight end is like really like polarizing, of like you either really want to do it or need to do it, or you're just like, nope, I'm good. I'll wait for that. Like for people who waited on Mark Andrews, really were rewarded this week in fantasy. Like they still stuck it out. Like from where they drafted him, like, oh, he's terrible. And now he's paid off this week. And it's really going to change the tone and the attitude for tight ends like him in his situation, where like, oh, he popped off. Maybe Lamar's got to figure it out, and they get it to him more and more at the expense of Isaiah Likely.
Yeah. No, that's true. Tight end, I don't know. I don't know.
For the right anything, I'd get rid of Rock Bowers, but yes, he scores a lot right now, but honestly, there's not a huge gap in tight ends. He's like maybe the one exception with Travis Kelce, but other than that, I mean, you still have McBride, Kittle, who just had arguably, I mean, if I had him, I would have been, he went incredible. And so this was a great week for tight ends, in my opinion. And I just stick with your tight end one and have someone ready just in case Bowers gets injured or a bye week. That's it.
Yeah.
So I had a question too for you, Grayson. Because I knew you were coming on last second, so I had a couple things that I wanted to throw your way before. Who is one of your players that like you, despite what they may be week to week or whatever, is one of the players you champion or you advocate for to like go for in trades or drafting on your rosters like before the season started? For example, I've always went after, since he's coming to leave, Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, those players, despite their offenses. Or my one true champion is Aaron Jones. Every year I've had him, and he's won me leagues, and he's also lost me a lot of leagues, but he's one guy that I've always drafted everywhere, despite the fact, because I love what I've gotten out of him. I've fought through the bad times with him, and it's just my guy. Like, it's your guy. Like, who's that one player in fantasy that since you've been playing the game of fantasy, who's still playing and is relevant, that you champion for, that you advocate for, that you push to have on your teams year in and year out?
DK Metcalf.
Yep, that's a good one.
So last year, so in full transparency, when I like things, I dive headfirst all the way in. This is my 3rd season of fantasy football total.
Okay.
And so I started 3 years ago. And DK Metcalf was someone that I like him as an NFL player. It doesn't always come across in fantasy, but I overpaid all of it last year for him. This year, my bigger money league, who does have DK Metcalf, it says he is not open to trades at all. He is just someone who does not do trades, which really sucks because it is someone who, yes, I mean, I think he had like a 6 points this week, but still, I would have him locked in at wide receiver, and he would not move. He's someone I champion for and have tried to get every year, and he's in multiple other teams for me this year. I just like him a lot.
If you could trade for him, like, what is something you're willing to give up, like, all the time? Like, to some other people would be like, what, you'd give him for that? Like, what are some trades, like, before this week, that you would try to get a deal done to get him if you don't have him in your league? For example, I traded away DK Metcalf in a league a couple weeks ago. Jaden Reed and Brian Robinson Jr. The guy got DK Metcalf. So I mean, I traded him away, but like that's sort of like it takes multiple. Like for me, when I have him, it takes multiple people or like picks or resources. That I don't ever see myself for DK doing a 1-for-1, because like for me, I like he's like especially in Dynasty, like he's still so young. He's only 25. Like he's just a baby in Dynasty, and then in redraft, like he's a solid set it and forget it wide receiver 1. Like he's just a better tiered quarterback away from being, I think, in the top 5 wide receivers. Like an argument for him being in there. Like if he had like a Jordan Love or a Joe Burrow or
they'll have one soon enough.
If they for some reason just abandon Geno Smith, which I don't see happening, and they pick up someone ridiculous, if DK Metcalf for some reason goes to a team
like the Chiefs,
if he goes to the Chiefs, you have no idea what I get about. I mean,
you can have my whole team. I would be like, I don't care, just take the house.
Seriously. And it's so funny enough, earlier this year when Jamar Chase was really struggling, I sent the house to try and get him. Guy declined it, and now he is going to be 0-6, but whatever. But yeah, truly, if this year with what my current team is set like today, if someone ordered Jordan Mason for DK Metcalf, I'd do that. I mean, yes, the time is sort of coming to an end, most likely, of Jordan Mason being
it's done.
My opinion is if the 49ers keep losing, they shut down Christian McCaffrey for the year, and Mason's the starter the rest of the season.
Now they got Garanado or whatever his name is.
This is a one.
I'm not worried about Garanado. He's a long-term piece. Like in Dynasty, he's like maybe a year 2 or 3 emergence as a backup to Mason. But like right now, I feel, which is a good thing we're bringing it up, of I am very worried about, like, I am like on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm in like a 7 or 8 panic level on CMC, because if the Niners were winning, I think they'd bring them back faster to like keep the winning and for like a playoff push to probably make another Super Bowl run. But like if they keep losing and they're going for a top 10 pick, I can see them shutting him down for the reason, because what's the point of bringing him back? Like, what other than giving him some reps and like, getting him that endurance built back on him for, wear and tear on downs. But like, I think Jordan Mason holds this like very finite, like eye of the storm of the hurricane for like value right now. Like right now you're in the eye of it, and it's depending on where the Niners season goes, it either dies out or it stays sustained rest of the season and keeps turning, because I think the only thing that's slowing Mason down is a CMC return or an injury. So he's like pretty much locked in as a running back one. And if you can get DK Metcalf for that value, like in Dynasty, that's chef kiss. Like you won that deal in redraft. That's a good deal for a contender to make to solidify that run for a push.
And then if you want one more wild one, I will do a contingency on redraft. I will let you pick either AJ Brown or Malik Neighbors from my team. I have both of them, and you can have them. You can have one of them. If this is Dynasty, I'll give you AJ Brown. Malik Neighbors is an untouchable asset.
Yes,
but I mean, I would give up way too much for DK Metcalf. You want Brock Bowers and Jordan Mason? Go ahead. I'll take it. That's the wild thing that just I ride or die for him.
So how do you want to send us off into the night, Sed? How do you want to fire this arrow off?
Well, I mean, I think it's been a solid show. We didn't get a whole lot of questions.
Whatever happened to Seany? Did he say he was disconnecting or?
Oh, well, I mean, it was his daughter Cambria's birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Hope you watch this. But he had to jump off and go deal with that. But
yeah, that's all
good.
good.
A little bit of engagement. It was cool having Seany on. That was fun having him talk about the Steelers and his other insights because we haven't seen him in a while, right? So it's always fun having Seany on here, man. I just like having all you guys on just talking fantasy.
Yeah, even you, Grace. I love having you come on. I mean, as available as you can be, you're always welcome to join us and hang out. Hopefully, you get a little bit more of like a what is it, like an outline of what's going on.
Well, yeah, we'll get you brief better. It was a little, I was just like, okay, come on, whenever you come, and just let you be. But
it was kind of like my trial by fire. The first time I was on, I didn't know what to expect or whatever. I'm like,
work out. And look at this now.
I really appreciate the invite, Cedric. If you guys want me on another time, I'm more than happy to. My Sundays are good. My free time should be a little more open coming up soon. So sorry, Ced. Unfortunately, if anyone doesn't know, Cedric and I do work together, but not for this is the last week I will be there. I am moving on.
Darn.
But Cedric and I will definitely stay in contact regardless. But if I'm on more, then I'm always happy to be here if you guys want me.
Yeah, the invite's always welcome. Feel free to pop in, drop in whenever. More times than not, it's just me and Ced here. Seany pops in when he does.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool. I mean, usually we get a lot of people chiming in too, and it's cool to have. I mean, Austin's been repeating. I think I saw you on the Dynasty show too, Austin. So it's really, really great to have your support. And then there's other shows too, Grayson. Around Shady Sports too. Like I've been telling you, we'll get your football, your soccer show going, right? We'll get that going.
Soccer. That's great. I love that shit.
See, so we'll definitely get it, especially as the NFL winds down. We'll be talking other stuff, but I mean, there's all types of stuff. But you're always welcome on Hairs every Sunday at 7 p.m. and then every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And yeah, I mean, Tuesday nights are a little bit more definitely fantasy football centric because we have our starter bench. Or we got our what I call them our boomers and our busters, and then we have Justin's team of the week. So I mean, if you wanted to have a team you put together or your trade of the week, that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool. And then we just kind of we reach out to everybody that's watching too, because the goal here is to try to get to that championship in the league, right? Or to at least have fun doing it, because it is, I mean, that's the point behind it. Even if you're not sitting and watching every single game or paying attention to every single stat, you're in fantasy football, you can kind of follow your team and pay attention to what's going on around the league that way. So I think that's what's really cool about it. So yeah, man, always welcome on, and it's been a pleasure working with you too. So I'm sure you'll be around there as well too.
Well, I appreciate it. I would love to come in on a Tuesday, definitely go over my booms and busts. Also, just got a few text messages from some of our coworkers. I just want to say hi to T, hi to Issue, and I will see everyone tomorrow.
Yes, sir. What up, T? What up, Issue? Thank you guys for watching in. I mean, yeah, Justin, it's a great place over where I work at, over at Automotive Imports.
It sounds like you got great people.
Yeah, man, it's a cool environment. Just like this show, like Shady Sports. I don't know. I just kind of try to keep that energy all around. So it's been amazing. And yeah, Grayson, please definitely come on Tuesday and have your boom and bust. And we'll, because I mean, it is, all these different perspectives just kind of help it out, right? Like, no one's claiming
I
to
think
be
it's a good palate
professionals.
cleanser because, like
Mhm.
Grayson, you kind of brought it up a little bit earlier, of like getting oversaturated with all the big networks, talk and what they're like forcing down and saying to you all week long. But at the end of the day, it's like you kind of need also more of like a down to earth perspective, a more realistic like perspective on these players, and like from a kind of like people who don't have a dog in the fight or like a
Mhm.
money, like they're playing
Yeah,
it for the
yeah.
enjoyment
We'll,
of
we'll
fantasy
get some
football.
sponsors. We'll
And
get
like
more sponsors.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying like to shoo or like to push them away, but like
No,
what
but
drew me to this network was like it was just the people and like the perspectives and just the ideas bouncing back and forth of having just a different sort of conversation about players and questions about your lineups and just football in general.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we're
No.
trying to build like a more of like connectivity, like a community of like back and forth, bouncing it to each other and like having more of like a conversation than just like spitting out straight facts and numbers to you all night long that you could get anywhere else. So just trying a more unique experience and perspective on the game of fantasy football and how it pertains to your lineups and how it impacts you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing about it, right? Because it's different on how it impacts you from what the forecasts say on all of these major platforms, no matter what site it is. I mean, I got I don't know. I'm not on every single site out there, but I'm on quite a bit of them, in a league in each and every one of them. And you see these forecasts and sometimes it's not even close, right? Like sometimes it's completely off. So it is cool to have other outlooks and other viewpoints and other people to talk about and engage with about it, because like you're like, oh yeah, like this person got this many points for me, what I mean, like the past 3 weeks, as opposed to like what ESPN says or what sleeper app says they're gonna get. So it does kind of help, and that's just the goal. It's just to help keep your team together. And if you are 0-5, it's not the biggest of deal. You can still enjoy it and still have
Stay
fun
positive and have fun with it.
like,
even when you're in the dumps in fantasy, you got to find a way to have fun with it and enjoy what you're doing, because it's fantasy football. It's not like you really own like the team or whatever. Like find a way to get a positive out of it and make it fun for you.
Yeah,
I'll give one boom. Brees Hall tomorrow. He's gonna put me over 150 points.
Thank you.
He's going off. Just heads up. That's it. That's all I got.
Hopefully Tyler Conklin doesn't play. That's all.
Doesn't matter.
Jeez, we ain't talking about Conklin.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm 10 points. I'm up by like 9 points.
Brees
right now.
Lightning's getting 20 points. That's his floor tomorrow.
Yeah, it's all right. I've already won this week, but I want to beat my my record, which I won't. Week 2, 189 points.
Damn.
And then this week I'd like to get over 150. I'm at 139 right now. Brees Hall, he's getting 22 points easy.
Oh man, that's like 50 more points than Austin got this week, from what it sounds like in comments. I've never even gotten like, if I with my season going, if I hit 100 points, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
100 points.
If I'm gonna win, I want to win. I don't want to like. It's not that intra-mile bowl.
I think what I've noticed too in fantasy, especially this year, if you're getting like sub 120 points, you're most likely like 50-50 to win your matchups. Is like there's a lot of points being scored, and it's really hard to win with scoring 120 points.
Well, because you're getting sub 20 points in almost at least one of every slot in every major. So your quarterback's getting sub, more than 20. You're getting one running back at least in 20. You're getting one running back over 15. You're getting, your wide receivers are getting one over 15. You're getting just all double digits, and at least one of them scoring over 20 points. And then in your single, so that, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying I guess
It's harder. It's harder if you're not scoring 120 points to get a win.
Yeah, if you don't have like those heavy hitters, it's harder to keep up. Like in my Yahoo league, oh man, I'm struggling to keep my head above water. Like I'm winning this week somehow. I don't know. He still has like 20 players somehow left to play, but
20. Wow. He's got
nah,
quite the lineup.
I got 105 points and I'm holding on. You know what I mean? Like I barely get 100 points in that league, so I get it. I know what you mean. And that's a 2 quarterback league, right?
Oh, wow.
Like, it's a 2 quarterback league, and some people don't even use 2 quarterbacks because it's a 12 team league. I've
seen a couple
hard.
people in super
Like,
flex leagues not having a quarterback in their second. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, bold move, Cotton.
Well, you can kind of get away with it if you get a solid third running back or a solid
if you're just
third
drafting like
wide
just
receiver.
straight like top wide receivers and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
like,
if you draft like all your wide receivers early, you could probably get away with like 3 good receivers and pop one in that spot. But then we got another flex spot too, so that eats away at it. It's hard. It's a lot. It's hard. A lot of positions. So and I played Tucker Kraft this week. He didn't give me nothing, man. He got me 2 points.
Love was spreading the ball around, and that's what's going to be the victim of that Packers offense this year. It's whoever catches the apple of his eye. So far, the only consistent player has been Jaden Reed. Everyone else has been popping off week here and a week there, and just there's not the only consistency has been Jaden Reed. And he only goes as far as Love goes. But before we get out of here, I want to just touch base on Austin here. He was saying that he switched Bigsby out this week for Bucky Irving. I don't know how Bucky Irving did.
Oh, he did great. I'm sorry. I've been an investor in Bucky Irving since week 1. Yeah, week 1, and I've just been waiting. And he finally got 19. I think he got 19 or something.
Wow, I needed that. See, great minds think
19.7.
alike. Like I've invested Bucky Irving hard after week 1. I was just like, I didn't draft him. I saw what Rachaad White did week 1. I was like, pivoting. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I did the exact same thing. So finally seeing, unfortunately, it's due to an injury. But
I was gonna say, wasn't White hurt too? So
yes. Unfortunately, it was due to an injury. But like, it's good to see that like process you have where you target a player. You see the talent, you see the ability he has. He just needs that opportunity, and when he gets that opportunity, he does something with it and validates like why you did that process of like, oh yeah, I like this guy. I'm going for this guy. I'm investing whatever fab I have in him to a reasonable extent, and that he's paying off. And especially for him switching out Bucky for Bigsby. I mean, I think that was a big swing. You said Bigsby only got 24.
2 points,
like
4
potentially
points.
You have like a 15-point swing in points that you would have had. Like that's the difference between winning and losing your week.
Oh yes,
100%.
Big things like that. That's good moves. Catching those last minute moves. I almost left Singletary in. Luckily, I caught that last minute. But I mean, I switched them out for Trey Sermon, who didn't do anything, so it doesn't matter.
It's all right. I'm a team player. I texted Cedric last Sunday.
Oh yeah,
had him adjust his lineup because he had someone in.
Hey, I like that too. Like when like leagues have people that like, because I like to do that in my leagues too. I know it seems a little like annoying to some people or weird of like, hey, just a reminder, you have people on bye. Like I want to lose by your best punch.
Right.
I don't want to win by like taking advantage of like poopy situations. Like the dude didn't set. Well, that's a whole nother issue of like dude's not setting his lineup. He's got injuries in or bye weeks in. Like I want to win by your best lineup, and I want to lose by your best lineup. I don't like to play in leagues where like there's not full activity engagement from everyone in it, because it makes the wins feel a little like asterisk-y of like, well, he didn't have 2 people playing. If he would have started so and so on his bench,
right,
the outlook is different here. Like, but that's a whole nother like league ethical issue of like playoff seeding. Like when you get wins, like it just that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing.
I want to see who can get the most amount of points every week, and I want to help everyone.
Because it makes the shit talking all that better. Of like, I took your best punch, and you still couldn't beat me.
Exactly. We play in week 8, so we'll see how those players of mine work out.
All right. Are we gonna put a water bet down? Gonna be a little side bet action.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out.
It's gonna be. I think this is, in my opinion, on our ESPN league. I think it's 1 and 2. Whoever won it,
because it sounds like that is going to affect seeding. Like week 8 to 10, that's where the seeding gets like starts to show.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Hey, I mean, hey, just so I mean, if you want a quick run through my team and you want to see what you're going up against, I'm more than
Oh,
happy. I mean, you got. I'm
hell
just
yeah.
gonna
I'd love
rattle
to
it
keep
off.
this going in the Facebook group too. And like people
Yeah.
take polls of like, who is it? Team Grayson, Team Said, who's going for the number 1 seed?
Oh
Who
yeah,
we,
I
who we
mean,
back, whose horse we back at?
yeah.
Shots
Get
fired.
ready to see just how
Oh,
many
man.
RB1s do I need? Because I have.
Yeah. This dude has all the RB1s.
I hear.
Let's
I'll
get
run it. I'll
side
run it
pods
through
going of
really
like how
quick.
much points each team scores this week. Like we have our own like side parlays.
Oh, I'll
He's
parlay.
at
I'll
140
bet a
now
lot
and
on my
still has
team.
players to go.
What's the projection right now?
155.
That's your score or his score?
His score. My score, I'm tapped out at 130.5.
Okay. Ooh, that's a big swing for projections. That's like
My opponent's projected to get 130.7. I'm at 130.55. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, get ready for the boom, because just so you know, I'm gonna have to figure out which 3 RB1s I'm gonna start.
especially if he starts making moves and trading said like the lineup might look a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get a better team. No.
What?
Play that fire soundbite.
Yeah, but he's dependent on players that get hurt a lot too.
Oh,
Whoa! I'm sorry, Jalen.
you're trying to
Hurts.
throw the injury
Yo,
bug
whoa.
at him?
Let's go. Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Jordan Mason, Jonathan Taylor, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers. I mean, I can keep
All of
going.
those got the injury.
All I'm hearing
bug.
is 15 points as a floor from each of those.
Literally.
Oh yeah,
That's what it looks like on this team.
That's a floor,
Like, literally,
said.
Yeah.
That's like
Jordan
30
Mason
point
got-
ceilings.
Jordan Mason got 9 points. That was his lowest point output this week. So
All
yeah,
right.
no, that's his floor for
Still
sure.
155 points, guys.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
And Brandon Aubrey, my boy.
Oh yeah, and his
Yeah.
kicker
My
got
boy.
like 800 points.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
due
that's
for a
my boy.
60-yard field goal any week.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
Houston's not playing the Patriots every week, so
No,
that
it's Brandon
defense
Aubrey.
isn't
He's a
popping
Cowboys
off like
kicker.
that.
Unless if he's not playing the Lions, he's fine.
No, I'm saying the Texans. His defense is the Texans.
Oh, I
They're
stream
not-
defenses. I stream defenses.
Yeah.
Needed-
Neither do I. I never go into any of my drafts thinking, "Oh, I'm going to take the number 1 defense." I stream them all year.
I
All the
do.
leagues every year. I just
play the
stream a
Broncos
defense.
defense.
Bring it
What
on,
I usually
baby.
do, a little look peep behind the curtain is I like to tend to like not draft a kicker or defense in my drafts in leagues, and then I give that extra player, and then I try to work a deal before the season starts for a player that I really like that I might have drafted low or whatever that has potential, or like whatever injuries come up in the preseason, then I can try to open up a roster spot, and then I just throw a defense in after that. I mean, if it doesn't work out, well, then I just draw my lowest value player and pick up a defense week 1 and go from there.
I got to do that
Because
this
every
week. I
time,
don't have a
like when I
kicker.
used to, because I've been doing this for 17 plus years now of fantasy. The years I have drafted a defense or a kicker, it never works out. It never works out for me.
Brandon
I'm always
Aubrey
tossing them to the
always
side
be
at
on
some
my
point in the
team.
season.
Well,
I
I
just
think
feel
if
like
you
it's
got
a waste
Aubrey, yeah. If you
Well,
got
yeah,
Aubrey,
that's
you keep
different,
him.
yeah.
He set it and forget it. You don't even care what he does. You know he's gonna get
Mhm.
10 plus points at least.
I unfortunately he's out on bye next week.
Ooh.
I'm
Oh.
gonna have to pick someone up.
I got 2 kickers.
Nah, it's okay. The waiver wire is fine. or I'll just go with no kicker if I'm
Dude,
honest.
he's wheeling and dealing. He's looking right now. He's like, what can I get off his roster?
Bring
I'm gonna
it
pick
on.
up all the kickers off the waiver wire and drop them.
Oh, that's a
So they
scummy
go back
move.
on the waiver
Oh.
wire.
Hey,
That's what
I'll run no kicker and I still am confident.
That's pretty. Yeah, I've seen him do it. He's been without players and still won.
It was
Well, hey guys, we can continue this in the Facebook group over on
Yeah.
Football Reports on Facebook.
Okay.
Go ahead and follow us if you haven't already, guys. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and
Mhm.
share it.
Share
That's
it
the best
as much
part,
as you
right?
can.
As much as you can. Right? We're bringing you all the news about football. We're not
even
just
the hot
bringing
takes
you-
and the spicy.
Yeah, we're not
spicy
just bringing
takes.
you fan takes and just I'm telling you, this is real hard, cold facts, real stuff here, guys. No, it's not. But hey, thanks guys for joining us as always. Come back on Tuesday. We'll be here at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. as always, keeping it up.
We're here to celebrate your wins, and we're here to come console you with your losses. Like
Yep.
we're all in this together.
So if you do hop in that Facebook group, whoever you're thinking about starting, or if you're thinking about benching them, put your questions in that group.
Who's your Monday Night Miracle? What do you need for Monday?
Who's your
What do you need to get that win?
who you
Or
playing? Are you hoping that Tyler Conklin's not playing? Because that's what I'm hoping. Like, he's questionable right now, so we'll see. I mean, I'm not hoping for him to be hurt. I'm just hoping for him not to play. So
I'm hoping for that new Jets coach to just look back and be like, Brees, do your thing.
Hey.
I'm sorry, Rodgers. Like,
that's
you're
it.
cool, but
why are you
Brees,
playing
you're the best player
Allen?
on this team. Carry us to the finish line.
Which is how it should be. He's a top 3 running back for sure. Let him carry you to the finish line. Aaron Rodgers, we'll see. We'll see. But we got something subterranean receiver, best viewers on streamboo.com. Well, I don't know. Whatever. We got some. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on. It was awesome having you on here with us tonight. Shawnee was on with us earlier. And then Justin, as always, thank you for being here.
I like being on the bus. I like my seats nice and sunk in. I got my little spot on the bus. You let me sit in. I enjoy.
You got a little steering wheel over there too.
Yeah,
I can switch it over like Euro style over here. So we can go back and forth. But yeah, thanks for being a part on the bus, on the bandwagon. Yeah, I was gonna say I do want to post that. It is funny that Danny Dimes is looking better than Dak Prescott, which is something we'll talk about on Tuesday. I mean, would you start, Danny Dimes over Dak Prescott? Hit us up in the Facebook group.
I don't know. Man.
Tuesday we'll be talking about starting our sit-ems. We'll be talking about Justin's team of the week, his IDP player of the week, who was Brian Cushman.
No, this last one was EJ Speed, but I don't remember what he did this weekend.
We'll review that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'll get to that on
because
Tuesday.
Grayson, in some of the leagues I do, I have IDPs, or like instead of team defenses, you have like a IDP spot that you throw in there, and they tend to have wild different point.
I talked to Cedric about it. Oh my god! I mean,
I get points.
You can win or lose on a.
Yep.
It's the difference between 17 points and 55 points.
Yeah.
It's a big gap. It literally is a gap that big. So it's pretty fun. But anyway, guys, we'll be talking about that IDP player of the week. If Shawnee's here, we'll talk about Shawnee's team of the week, his winners of the week, and his busters of the week. And then Grayson, if you want to talk about your trades of the week and your sitter booms or your sitter bench, we'll touch on that too. Or
anything you want, whatever you want to bring.
Yeah, just let me know. I'll build we'll get a little outline. We're getting there, guys. We're slowly creeping to a real show.
Grayson's great pickups. Boom.
Nice.
There we go. Grayson's great pickups.
I love that.
I'll get a graphic up for it. We'll get something going. So we'll have Grayson's great pickups. Some new segment, guys. You heard it here first. Hot take.
Yeah, fresh. If you're joining us tonight, you're getting fresh new.
Yes. So guys, don't forget to hit that share button. You guys got anything else before we get out of here?
Holy shit. Chase Brown, did you just see that?
I just saw that touchdown.
He probably just won somebody their week. He just busted a 60-yard run for a tutty.
See? Chase Brown, Zach Moss. Is Zach Moss playing?
No,
he's hurt.
Oh, sorry, not a 60, like a 32-yard run, but
no,
that probably iced a lot of matchups if you don't have a Monday Night Miracle coming. Damn.
Yeah. This game is pretty
Maybe
wild.
He's one of Grayson's great pickups for week 6. We'll find out.
Who knows? We'll find out.
You'll find out. You got to tune in to find out.
So,
join us live.
Yeah. Join us live. Tyler Sperry, Subterranean, Austin, and is it George? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining. Have a good night, everyone.
Yes, sir. Peace.
See you guys.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.